I want to acknowledge that you have moved on some of this, and also your tone and the way that you're dealing with this. I think it's the proper way, and I want to acknowledge all the cooperation from across the House. I think everybody who speaks on this subject is very genuine in wanting to get this right. But in the area of the anonymisation, I'm a woman as well, and I would want to know. I absolutely don't want to be a dot on a scatter plot. I don't want to be a confidence interval, and I don't want to be a statistic. I would want to know. Other women may not, some other women may not want to know, but I think it is absolutely hugely important that this is dealt with, and that it's dealt with here and not in the Seanad. And, you know, I was in the Seanad myself, whereas that's no disrespect whatsoever to the Seanad, but I think we cannot pass the buck on this occasion. I think we have the cooperation here. You have the cooperation to be able to deal with all of these issues. We need a health service that we can be proud of. What Vicky Phelan did in terms of the courage she showed and the bravery and just everything that she showed not only permeates through the services that are offered around cancer here, and we have one of the best, we have the most brilliant people in the world in terms of dealing with cancer. And while I'm speaking, I want to acknowledge and send solidarity from this House to all of the people who are undergoing treatment for cancer at the moment. And we are lucky enough to have good outcomes in many areas. We need to talk about regional outcomes on another occasion, but we have expertise here that's second to none, and we are lucky to have that. But we have to get this legislation right, because patients deserve to have their own information. They're entitled to their own information. And you have a responsibility, we have a responsibility. We have an opportunity here this evening, and even if it takes a couple of extra weeks, we have a responsibility to get this right that can permeate across a whole of a system, that instead of having a situation where we are protecting the system, that we put the patient front and centre once and for all. This has gone on for too long. I spoke to you earlier on about the Valparaiso situation, that I would really ask you again to bring to the last cabinet meeting next week, that we have the issues there resolved, or at least that we have an openness and a transparency in how we deal with all of these issues. Thank you, Minister.
With no others offering. Minister.
Can I thank deputies for their contributions? I just want to try and address them quickly. So in terms of the process, yes, we can go back to the Dáil. The normal process would be after report stage, you could go to the Seanad, it would be amended to the Seanad, and then obviously it would come back here anyway. But I think colleagues are keen that the debate and the changes are made here. So my understanding of procedure, which I'm open to be corrected on, but is we'll be adjourning, I think, at about 9:20. We can adjourn then until January, which essentially gives time both to craft the amendments, to table the amendments, and what I'll ask my department officials to do is engage with colleagues through that time, so that we all understand what amendments are being brought forward. I just would point out, we're all talking about January for the right reasons. There's only 6 sitting days in January, just so we're all clear. We don't want this to go on and on. We all want this done as quickly as possible, but let's all just be clear. Actually, we're back, I think, on the 18th, and there's 6 sitting days, so we'll prioritise it, obviously. The second issue then, it's something that Deputy Kelly and Deputy Shortall had asked me to raise, and I hadn't had the opportunity yet, but Deputy Kelly referenced it again. It's actually to the rest of the bill. It's not really to part 5, but I did commit that I put on the record that the patient safety incidences which are referenced in the schedule, it's a very small list of a very serious number of incidences. And I was asked, would I, as Minister for Health, add to that? So the intention is they're the ones that no minister could ever take out. The legal advice we have is, in order to make it as easy as possible for patients, the more specific those incidences are, either in the Act or in the regulations, the better. It's in the interest of patients. So they're the ones that no minister can ever take out without amending the Act. And I absolutely commit that we will be adding more to that, and colleagues will be aware the relevant section in the bill actually provides for a very broad range of different incidences, the parameters which could be covered. The question was also asked about patients who want to avail of the patient-requested review going back to 2018. That will be available for them. So that I think that's important as well. And then finally, just back to the issue of substance, and I want to acknowledge and respect all views, and there is no perfect answer in terms of this. But if we just put aside the audit for a minute, what is being proposed now is that in every diagnosis of cancer, it's men and women, in every diagnosis of cancer where the screening services are involved, there would be an obligation for the man or woman to be told that there is a patient-requested review available, and then if they choose, then there would be a mandatory obligation to disclose the results of that. And therefore, every single, colleagues have said, you know, I want to know, men and women may want to know, absolutely. And this mechanism, just leaving the audit aside entirely, the mechanism that is being proposed will make sure that every single patient will be given the choice. As colleagues have said here, they would like to know. I think I probably would too. But what the UK evidence suggests is that many don't. And so every patient would have the opportunity. The flip side of that would be, let's say a patient says no, as we're told about half in the UK, say, no, actually I don't want to know. If the audit was not anonymised and a discordance was found, the patient has clearly said, I do not want to know. There would now be an obligation to tell the patient, even though they had said, I don't want to know. So I just think we need to reflect on that. But anyway, on the issue, we'll work with officials to find wording, and indeed we'll work with colleagues across the House to find an amendment that reflects an obligation to inform of the right for the review. Cormac.